What is going on, you beautiful bastards? Thank you all for stopping by. I have a gracious human in the building today. I am so stoked to get this recording underway. I'm joined by my homie, Mr. Madden Looney, in the building. We got some stuff to discuss. This is one of the kindest supporters on the block. Super super grateful for all of his support, and I had to bring. He's legit. Like when we're talking about legit ass gamer 300,000 gamer score ass gamer, he's got you covered. So even more so just than you being a kind human man, I also wanted to get you on to just discuss some games, to get your opinion and perspective on some things. So thank you for joining me, Mr. Madden Looney.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me. It's great to be here. Obviously, been watching the channel since almost the very start.
Yeah,
Love every video, and
back
yeah,
in the
it's
back
great
in
to be
the
here.
easygoing gaming days before
Yeah,
the before that thing hit the chopping block. You've been supporting for a long time, man, and just very gracious, a very just couldn't ask for more support. So I greatly appreciate you, dude. And
thanks so much, man.
yeah, absolutely. I first, before we dive into anything, man, I do want to talk about that 300,000 gamer score, because I don't think whenever I first saw that on Xbox, I was like, whoa, that is up there. So
Oh, well, when you saw mine,
yeah, whenever I saw that you had the 300K gamer score, I was like, that is insanity. So how long have you been? Are you're a trophy hunter? I'm assuming, right?
see, I go through like bouts of wanting. So that ideally, if I could 100% everything, I would. But there's some stinkers out there. Like right now, I'm playing through Scorn, and the pain. It's It's an easy list. This is the thing that kills me because I know that like it's an easy thousand people are saying, and I don't mind doing that. I was enjoying it for what it was. How much have you played of it?
Very early. I got to the puzzle where you're moving these little freaking egg things. I'm like, what is going on here? I'm moving these eggs, the eggs falling down, eggs going. What the hell do I do with these damn eggs?
Oh, see, that's the best part of the game.
Oh
That's the sad
God.
part. Like the puzzle, the combat is so bad. It's so unbelievably bad. Maybe I'm just not clicking with it, but like it's it's really put a damper on it. But no, I try and like 100% the games that have like left an impact on me or like that I love the most, like Elix 2, for instance.
Yeah.
Really
Yeah.
big Piranha Bytes fan, and it's almost like that gets my seal of approval. I will go for this 100%. Like I'm working through Mankind Divided right now. I did
Nice.
that. It has an achievement where you have to beat the game on the hardest difficulty in an Iron Man mode. So one death and that's it. Like your save file's wiped.
Oh my
And
God.
yeah, and being a crazy, stupid person, I decided to do that with the foxiest of hounds, so make sure that it's no alerts. So completely, I didn't kill anyone, I didn't get spotted, hardest difficulty, and it's enjoyable. But
Yeah.
then there's the other side of that, like I think I've mentioned like being a Pathfinder fan
Yeah.
on the Wrath of the Righteous. Oh my God. As much as I'd want 100% them games, their hardest difficulty is the hardest thing I have ever seen in my entire life. So it's a D&D adaptation. So like you roll a dice. Their way of making it hard is let's give everybody like 30 statistics of everything so that you're needing to roll natural 20 rolls just to hit the guy. And it's just like, that just ain't
Yeah.
it.
Now, so a thing that I just started thinking about, because I'm not a trophy achievement hunter guy, but whenever you're talking about going through Deus Ex, all
Mhm.
these crazy difficulty, like all achievements aren't created equally, but do you get the same score? Like you get the 1,000 gamer score, you get the platinum trophy. Like it doesn't matter if a game is so. Say for instance, you play through a 5 hour game and you get the platinum or the 1,000 gamer score. Like there's you don't get anything extra for playing through Deus Ex and getting the 1,000 gamer score on that.
So on Xbox, no. I like PlayStation system better when I did do it. Um, I like the way that they break down their lists. So you have when the game releases as its base list, and that's what the platinum contributes to. And then with their DLCs, they add additional separate lists. Xbox, it launches with just a flat 1000G, and then they can just do whatever they want. And the thing that annoys a lot of people in the community, it's so inconsistent. Not only in how much like a DLC is given, uh, what constitutes even warranting a DLC list. So like even a title update can sometimes get a DLC list for like the Assassin's Creed games, which is
Hmm.
baffling.
Yeah,
But
that is
the
crazy.
numbers, oh my God, the numbers. That's something that doesn't bother me too much, but some people in the community, you want that round 5 or 0 at the end. And then you have things like Dead Island that just like, yeah, we're just gonna give you a free G achievement. So you just have a free at the end instead of a 5 or a 0 ending.
What?
And it's just like, I get you can do that, but why? Like, and it's because I guess it preys on the people that are completionists because they don't want to leave that as a free at the end. They're going to 100% the game to get that
Right.
full 1,000 to round it off. So it's smart in a way, I guess.
I'm such a newbie to all of this. It's like but I'm not gonna lie because I'm always an offline gamer. I really don't. I never play online. I don't play multiplayer or anything. So I don't really see other people's achievements or trophies or anything. So it's never been something I ever factored in. And then when I saw your achievements, I was like, man, it kind of sucks that I haven't kept up with this and I haven't like synced my PlayStation 3 trophies with my PlayStation 4 with my PlayStation 5. So it's like there's a part of me where it's like I wonder if I can just go back to find how to sync up my PS3 trophies to my PS4 and then have all that in line to see what my actual score is because like I'm around which PlayStation has been my main,
Mm,
so it's different. But I'm like around the 300 mark
yeah.
for whatever. I don't even know what to call these things. I'm so such a newbie to it. I don't even know what to call it. It's like it has I can take a photo of it and put it in here, but it has
I
like
think they have a level system, isn't it?
yes, it's levels. It's
So
levels.
it's levels that constitute how many they have a point breakdown and you level it up. So like how much a platinum is worth. And yeah,
Yeah.
that's their version. And then Xbox, we don't even have like it's just, a number, which sucks, if I'm
Yeah.
being honest.
Yeah, but there's a part of me, man, like, and I hate to even admit this because I try my best not to get into those addictive things because I have a really addictive personality just in general. But there's a part of me where I was playing the Alfred Hitchcock's Vertigo game, and it's super, it's a nothing. I shouldn't say a nothing burger, but it's so easy to get through. There's no challenge to it. But I saw it was at like
Mm.
87% on my trophies, and I'm like, oh, what can I do to get this 100%? What stress do I have to go through to get this 100% on old Alfred Hitchcock's Vertigo? But I don't want to do that because I want my experience to be what I play it for what it's worth, and then when I want to be out, I want to be out because I know as soon as I take that bite and I start really going for those things, it's the band-aid is off and the blood is a flowing. So
No, that is 100% like I agree with you completely because it tainted my opinion on Elix 2 in the end, having to go
oh,
through that because it was so tedious to do each faction. So whatever faction you decided to join, what was the faction? Do you remember?
I joined like the sciencey people, the people he was with before in Elix One.
The
I went.
Albs?
Yes, the ones where
Okay.
they had the big facility and they had the
Yeah.
human testing and all that crazy stuff
Yeah.
going on.
Yeah. So you would progress through that, and then you would get like the maximum rank in their companion. You had to do that for every other faction. So you had to make branching saves. You had to get every skill in the game,
Oh my god.
which also took absolutely forever. So yeah, um, but once I do a game like that where it's such a tedious grind in the end, that's the perfect time to jump into like what you've said with Alfred Hitchcock's Vertigo. It's the perfect time to pick up a nice short. It's what I was hoping Scorn would be, and it ain't it. Just ain't it.
Dude, I tell you what, there's something about having like one of those little choose your own adventure style games on the chopping block. Maybe, every other month, every once a quarter, whatever, to just like ease you in like a palate cleanser sort of. You play
Yep.
a long 40, 50 hour RPG. And like right now, I'm playing Tale new Tales from the Borderlands or whatever.
Oh, how is that?
I don't hate it. There's a lot of people out there who I've seen like the user score on Metacritic, which we've talked about before. It's a bit abysmal. Just the way that people trash things that they have not checked out at all. But there's some things about that new Tales from the Borderlands game that's like, not to spoil anything, but there's one part where they do like a ripoff of what's the Shark Tank, the Mark Cuban, the investor show or whatever. They do,
Yeah.
yeah, they do like a rip off of that, and it's the coolest little twist how they have it all set up. And I don't know, there's charming moments like that, but those style of games, having those as a little palate cleanser, it's nice. And I found that like if I play those right before I go to sleep, I sleep like a damn baby because it's such a turn off your brain and relax style of experience. It's just perfect right before I go to bed. You pop that bad boy on, I pop it on like 9 p.m., play it for 3, 4 hours, and I just knock out by midnight.
No, it's because it like you said that like for the Vertigo game, it's not challenging at all. It's nice to just switch off and just enjoy it for what it is. You're in there for the experience and the journey. So
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely,
that's all we
dude.
need sometimes.
You are not lying, brother. It is it is definitely my form of escapism. I can't we ain't gonna go too long on just rambling here. We were already rambling for like friggin' 30, 45 minutes before we got on here, just shooting the shit about nothing, talking about games and all that. But I do think that I want to get your opinion on this. Is that for me, this is something that's probably within the last 4 years, but within the last like 3, 4 years, I can't really get into other art forms like as much. I can't really get into movies for
Oh, really?
I really can't, man. I don't know. It's like whenever I turn on a movie or a TV show or whatever, I think not having that controller in my hand, I just begin to stress. It's not like
Damn.
it sounds addictive. Like I gotta have that controller itch in my hand. But it's more a thing where if I'm not doing something, all I start doing is thinking about my real life and the things I need to fix and the things that,
Mm.
but when I have the controller, it's like, oh, I'm getting to control your little life for a couple hours a night. Cool. Let me control your little life. I'll role play through you and then try to make sure you get to damn your destination safely while my life is in shambles in real life.
See, no, I don't. That's that's perfectly reasonable. It just shows the unrivaled level of immersion that gaming can offer. Like, I say it's strange because I've actually had a complete opposite effect of what you just said. Like, gaming was primarily what I chose to do as a hobby, but then, for instance, like expanded universes and stuff, like really loving the Mass Effect games and Dragon Age, finding that they had books, and that's jumped me into reading the books, reading the graphic novels, watching the movies and stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's been my recent like suck in. Like it's yanked me in, and that I won't lie, that's been primarily what I've been buying. Like recently, it's like the games have slowed down hugely, and it's been like, let's watch some films and stuff and catch up on things that I didn't get to see as like a kid. Like The Godfather, for instance, was something that I watched recently. All three movies.
Nice.
They were
Yeah. Hold on.
outstanding.
Yeah, we gotta go. I love I love mob stuff. Absolutely love mob stuff. We got to go into that real quick, and we'll jump back into video game. Well, so what are you? Because my opinion, Godfather 1 excellent, Godfather 2 excellent. I wish Godfather 3 didn't exist. How do you feel on that?
It did feel strange the third film. Um, it didn't feel like he would have made them choices from the first two films, like how they built Michael up.
Yes.
Like, I don't think he would have got himself backed in that corner, but it just showed maybe his like frailty of wanting to put it behind him, and it just shows that the moment you let down your guard in that kind of world, everyone's gunning for you.
Yeah.
Like he wanted to get out in the end. He was having his like health problems. I believe he had a heart attack or something. He was having heart problems in one of the scenes in the third movie,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it showed like the stress. Obviously, him losing all of his brothers, and then his brother betraying him. Oh God,
Yeah.
like damn, like it's such a masterpiece of a movie, like
Uh,
trilogy.
it
Even with the freeze like shortcomings, I don't know. I loved it, but that's because like anything mobster and stuff related in that time period is just gold.
okay, so we're on the same boat here with the mob stuff. So yeah,
Mm,
have you watched this is a very like I can't believe how good this is. It's one that doesn't get recommended enough. It's Johnny Depp Dillinger. What the hell is the name of that movie? It was on Netflix for a while. Oh my god, hold on. I'm gonna look it up. It's something I know he's playing Dillinger, Johnny Depp mob movie. I forget the damn name, but it is so freaking solid. I watched it on Public Enemies. Have you seen that?
Public. That was with Johnny Depp, right?
Yeah, Johnny Depp lead. He's the lead in it.
Um, I've seen it like advertised. I've never actually watched it because I won't lie. As much as I love Johnny Depp, he's always like a whimsical, comical character. I can't see him portray. Is it like a serious movie?
Very. I don't know. He was great in Donnie Brasco as well, and it's kind of a similar performance there. Obviously, he's playing Dillinger, and he's just straight up gangster in
Okay.
Public Enemies, but and he's has that serious aura to him that he had in Donnie Brasco
Okay.
with Public Enemies. It's actually real good. I haven't watched I haven't watched the other. He was in another gangster movie that was released in like the mid 2010s. I haven't watched that yet, but I love Public Enemies. If you have a chance to check it out with you being into mob stuff, definitely give it a look. It's a good one.
I feel bad, like I've not given him enough credit now. Honestly, but I just couldn't envision him playing like that kind of role with like the stuff that he's played. He's usually like into that weird, either like the Jack Sparrow where he's haha funny guy, or like the weird Tim Burton movies.
Yeah, yeah. I will give
So,
him credit for in terms of having incredible range with Edward Scissorhands and Gilbert Grape, and then the Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, and
mm,
even going into the mob stuff. He real solid range there. But I do agree when you think Johnny Depp, you immediately go to Jack Sparrow. You immediately go to what's the one where he plays the little lizard dude, Rango.
oh, Rango,
Yeah.
what a film!
Hell yeah, dude. Well, man, let's stop. You know, we'll dive
Let's
into
begin the first topic.
yeah. Let's we've already went off forever here. Let's dive into the first topic, and if we have to cut a couple of these topics, we can. It's not the end of the world. We can always revisit some of this stuff. The first thing that I want to pick your brain on here is this new trend of the remakes, the more specifically, I want to talk to you about remakes because I'm going to give you my take on it real quick, and I want you to hit me over the head with a hammer if I'm incorrect on this, because I think this is probably my most anti-consumer take that I have. I try to always be thinking in the best interest for us good old gamers, but there's a part of me is that when I hear about a Horizon remake, when I hear about a Last of Us remake, I like it makes my skin crawl because those are some talented people seemingly
Mm,
wasting away years of their life on a remake that does not need to exist in any stretch of the imagination. However, I believe that if you wanted to port Horizon Zero Dawn, the PS4 version, to the PlayStation 5 and charge $70 for a 4K and for upscale 60 frames, whatever, like if you wanted to do that, I wouldn't even care in the slightest. The only thing that bothers me about any of these remakes is the resource cost, is the time wasted that talented people are working on something that has no, like it's not necessary. So the fact that they're going off and working on a Last of Us remake, a Horizon remake, I would just rather you port the PS4 game or port the PC version to the PS5. Call it a day. Let's not take those talented people from Naughty Dog, going and working on The Last of Us 1 and like put them on a new project. Like it
Mm.
just the resource cost is what bothers me more than anything. I don't care if there's a PS5 version of Horizon out there that costs $70. I don't care if there's a Last of Us 1 version of the PS4 game that you ported up that costs $70. It doesn't bother me at all because I'm not gonna pay for that crap. I'll just
Yeah.
I'll play the old one. So am I crazy on that?
So in the case for like The Last of Us and stuff, it makes completely zero sense to me because these were games. The Last of Us came out what 2012,
2013.
2014
Yeah,
or something. Yeah,
2013.
in
Mm-hmm.
that time frame. One game of the year that year, I believe.
Yeah.
A sweeping amount of awards. It holds up. This isn't like something from 1998 where like it was a game of its time and it does seriously need that treatment to get mainstream exposure because these are games that they're perfectly fine. And the thing that annoys me the most about The Last of Us, they've already done this. They remastered it already. Why does it need a remake on top of that? Like it doesn't need the systems from The Last of Us 2 because you're making like it's just completely nonsensical. Like
Yeah.
they hold up well and it was doing its own vision. This is the thing that annoys me the most is like people don't think video games are an art form. That's a piece of art and you're trying to warp it to something that you've made further. Like it makes the original obsolete and worthless almost. Like the PS3 version, like a lot of people didn't particularly care about it because the remasters come out and now they're not going to care about the remaster and it has its original vision and you're compromising it is my
That's
belief.
that's a damn good point. So yeah, I that's a point that I haven't even thought of is that like so are we just not allowing time to be time anymore? you
No,
know?
they need to make everything relevant is their mindset, especially at Sony. I know like I'm primarily on Xbox, so maybe it's fanboyism talking here, but
No.
like their practices, like they were fully against backwards compatibility. They didn't even want to entertain the idea. They didn't even want to entertain the idea of crossplay. And this is what they want to push now. This is their new agenda because they know also, like you say, that you're not too familiar with like trophy hunters and stuff. They're
Oh,
such a huge thing in this PlayStation community because they make all their games so damn easy, these first party titles, and they sell like hotcakes. And then they give it a free PS5, not a free PS5 upgrade for some of them. Some of them you have to pay.
yeah.
And people, if you do a tiny bit of research, they're auto popping these things because they allow them to transfer their save. So they're paying full price just for that extra platinum. They're
Wow.
preying on them tendencies, man.
That's crazy. I didn't even know about that.
Yeah,
I didn't think about that. Like saves transferring over and automatically
yeah.
getting trophies and stuff. That's insane. I didn't know
It's
anything
just
about
easy
that.
money for them. They're double dipping every single release. They're happy because
So
people are paying for it.
okay, tell me this then. If that's an issue for sure.
Yeah.
So what would I be crazy? Like if I'm the head, if I'm Jim Ryan, I say, okay, well let them double dip. Let's just put the PS4 game
No,
on
no,
the
I don't blame him. This is like a Bethesda thing. They keep releasing Skyrim, for instance,
well,
and
well,
he's even come out and said it. We'll stop releasing it. you stop buying it.
But and that's actually once again we're kind of in the business realm here, just talking more business. But as a for thinking with the business brain for a second, I like that approach more, where they're just porting Skyrim essentially. They upres it a little bit, they get it running smoother. Those things can be like that doesn't have to take your main core team to do
No,
that. And whereas with The Last of Us and supposedly with this Horizon thing, that's like core Naughty Dog developed, core Horizon or core
yeah, because it's
Gorilla
a massive
developed.
overhaul, isn't it? They're bringing all of the second game systems into the original game,
It,
and that's having to, that had combat sequences that were for the original game that they're going to have to change now to accommodate for them introducing the new systems.
so tell me this: if they put $70, The Last of Us One, or let's just do Horizon since there already is a PC version of it. If they said
Mhm.
here $70, you're getting to play Horizon on the PS5 the same way that you can play it on the PC essentially. Would you rather it be available that way, or would you rather it be like actually remade? Do you
No,
think I'm yeah, okay. So you would
no. Remakes, I think, should exist. Like, for instance, like I know it kills your soul as a Resident Evil fan, but like the two remake, that's how you do it, man. Like, it's a game that was sadly, if they ported Resident Evil 2 in its original state, it wouldn't have sold as many copies. It's flat, like it just wouldn't.
no chance.
It needed that modernization, and they did a perfect job of that.
You are 100% right. You're 1000%. When you're actually remaking a game, that is how you remake a game. Final
Yeah.
Fantasy VII, that's how you remake a game. Like these, that's a total, those are needed remakes. And you can even like The Witcher just got announced for a remake.
Oh,
And something like
yes.
that's
No,
perfect.
that seriously needs a remake. I don't know if you've actually played the original Witcher. It is so unbelievably bad in its
I've
control scheme.
I've heard it's really rough around the edges. So when I saw that, I'm
Yeah.
like, that needs a remake. And then you get to something like Dead Space, and I'm like, oh, I don't know if Dead Space really needs a remake. But see, that's the line for me. When you're going from like PS3, PS2, PS1, or Xbox 360 original, like you know what I'm saying, from seventh generation back, I'm like, okay, from like 2010 backwards, I'm not going to get too bent out of shape. Even for The Last of Us One, I think it's ridiculous. It released right at the end of the PlayStation 3 life cycle of 2013 and immediately had a PS4 version. So
Yeah.
that's like, okay, do we really need? But regardless, fine. But when you start getting into remakes of games 5 years old, I, I'm out. So I ask all that to ask what would your like if you had to do just a general line in the sand, would you say like what year is kind of your roundabout cutoff?
Oh, that's a good question.
Because
Um,
I think I'm going 2010 for right now. Anything like when we get to 2030, 2035, then we can
we
we can revisit it.
can have The Last of Us 2 remade for the 50th time.
I swear.
Um, no, I think what you're speaking is complete sense. The thing that maybe I skew a little bit is there have been some games that were mishandled that could do with like a polishing up. But that shouldn't be for everything. They're just the outliers. But yeah, like I see people being angry with the Dead Space remake, and I can kind of understand it. It holds up well. My thought process on why they've done this, they killed Visceral off as a studio. Like they're no longer here. Like
No.
they mismanaged them completely, and Dead Space 3 DLC left a cliffhanger, and I don't think they want to particularly, uh, you know, go down that route. They want to. I think they just want to wipe the slate clean and rebuild the story with these new developers.
Ooh. Ooh. Interesting theory. That because they have new voice acting and all that for Isaac in Dead Space 1, correct?
I believe so. Yeah.
That is a theory. That is a very, very interesting theory. So, in theory, you could go from Dead Space 1 with a slightly different story into Dead Space 2 with a slightly different story, and then completely rework 3 and then have your, kind of have your cake and eat it too, where you recreated 3 games that already have a foundation and then can build on that for 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and however long you want to go
Yeah,
from that
if
point
it's
on.
successful, yeah. If they don't, mess it up again. This EA we're talking about.
I will say though, they're kind of starting. It's I never want to jump the gun and give EA a thumbs up before they bite my thumb off. But it seems, Dragon Age. I read that Dragon Age 4 is entering into beta, and the
Ah, don't please give me hope. Please.
all
God.
right, I'm going to say this last thing, and I know we talked about it earlier. I read this in the article as well that they said at the very end of that article, it said something to the effect of, "In Mass Effect fans, like we haven't forgot about you. There'll be more news in the coming month or for in
Mm.
7 day or whatever." So it's like I don't know, single player BioWare back in the realm, Dragon Age back in the realm, Mass Effect back in the realm. Like I don't know, Dead Space, they got that going on. They got Star Wars Jedi Survivor going on. EA, I'm not saying they've totally cleaned up their act, but it's looking like they're getting a little bit away from the everything has to be live service, everything has to be multiplayer, everything has to be free to play. They do have Skate that's free to play that's not. I'm not too jazzed about, but I don't know.
Uh, I'll just say one more thing on that. Like, they they have been appealing to single player gamers, of course, but it's EA. There's always an agenda and a motive, and the reason I say that is because Titanfall 1 they completely botched up. It was a stupid decision with what they decided to do with that. Titanfall 2 came out, an actual single player campaign, slayed it. The moment they get popular, what's that? The spin-off Apex live service, and I think that's what's going to happen with. They're seeing what sticks so that they can warp it into something else. They're probably going to keep these single player games going and give people the releases, but it kind of reminds me of with what Capcom have been doing with Resident Evil. Every other game has to have like a multiplayer tie-in. You may not even be aware the Resident Evil, was it 3 or 2 remake, had a multiplayer mode?
Right. Yeah.
Resistance.
Resistance with 3.
Yeah.
That is, dude, I forgot all about that.
Reverse is out now. No one's playing. It released alongside the the Rose expansion today.
Yeah, I just grabbed
No
that
one's
rose.
talking about. I finished it. It's amazing.
Oh, you already beat it?
Yeah.
Dude, hey, no spoiler. Don't
Nope.
even
Nope. Nope.
you don't
Zip.
even laugh a certain way to give me a hint as to what goes on with that. But dude, I you make a compelling point there. But I guess I would spin that off and ask, would you take this new trajectory of EA if it did something similar to what Capcom is doing? Where okay,
Oh,
yeah,
absolutely.
that's kind of what I when you were saying that I was like, man, I'm not. I feel like I'm super anti-consumer here in today's video,
No.
but it's like I think I'd
No.
take
There's
that.
always, you know, it's always a double-edged blade, as I said. Like they're a business. They need to make it. They need. You see how popular Fortnite is. Of course, they're going to try and capture that lightning in a bottle. It's just free money.
Dude,
If you can land that, that's it. You're laughing, and they have it with FIFA, and it's still not enough for them and all the
question.
other sports.
Do you think that there's really all that much money in a lot of these live service games? Like we know Fortnite, laughing to the bank. We know Apex, Destiny, COD, but outside of that, it seems like a lot of these other live service games just it ends up being
No,
like,
it's a trap. It's a trap.
yeah,
If unless it's because you look at this as of recently, PUBG blew the world away when it came out. PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, it became like the most played game on Steam, and everyone was like, in the moment, man, this is like going to be the game you're going to be playing for decades. Like this is so revolutionary, and then something steals its thunder, and that's what it is. It's if you can steal the thunder of Fortnite, which I don't think you can. It's so deeply rooted in now. Like it's that time's passed. It's like Minecraft. It's just embedded in. It's not going anywhere. Like it's going to be something people are always going to play. So I think it's a trap that they fall into.
Yeah. And I think that I look at our audience, the people who watch this channel, the people who watch Easy Allies, the people who watch, your different outlets out there who were, I think most of us are probably all 20, mid 20s and up. And I think that I'm not saying all of us, but a large segment of us, we're cool with you milking taking our damn cash for those single player experiences. We'll buy whatever 10, 15. Some people, crazy idiots like me and you, will buy a bunch of those bad boys each year. We'll dive into all that stuff that you're offering if it's good. And like,
Yep.
I just, I think that I'm not trying to look at us and our audience in the same way as like the whales, but we're kind of whales in our own right. Where if like you give us a good single player narrative experience or just a good core gameplay loop to get lost in, like we'll pay you the $60. You
Yep.
can
No,
just
absolutely.
like with Resident Evil, they have them coming out almost on an annual basis. They're getting $60 from us on an annual basis.
Yep.
I'm not complaining.
I'm happily with what they're doing, especially as well. Like I don't even with Freeze remake, with it being slightly more disappointing than it should have been. Like I happily paid for that and enjoyed it. It was a good game.
I totally agree with you, dude. Totally agree with you. And last point that we spun off onto some EA stuff there, but last point with the remake that I have for you is that, do you think, so with like a lot of I'm not too well versed in the DVD, Blu-ray, fork, whatever. I'm not too
Hmm.
well versed in the physical market of that world, but it seems like I go in, I just I don't know where I put it. Oh, like I grabbed this the other day. Vertigo, Alfred Hitchcock's Vertigo, the Blu-ray. And
Hmm.
it's like anytime I want to go and I want to find a Blu-ray or a DVD of a movie from the 60s, 50s, whatever, it's like I can find it. And it's weird to me that that's not available with gaming. Like, why aren't these companies just milking our nostalgia as well, saying, hey, yeah, we got you the RE2 remake. That's the best way to play it. But hey, here's the port of Resident Evil 2, and you can play it on your PS5, your Xbox Series, your Switch, and you only got to pay
Yeah.
$30. Like, why isn't that as ubiquitous? Why can't I go find a game from the 90s on the PlayStation? Do you think there's a market for that?
No, absolutely. You saw as of recently, Wizards of the Coast, people are in like Dungeons and Dragons and stuff. They've been porting every single Infinity Engine RPG, the original Baldur's Gate 2, Icewind Dale, Planescape Torment, and I'm not sure how well they sold. They were reviewed fairly well. People enjoyed them, but it's definitely a possibility. The only thing that they couldn't do is obviously if they don't have the source code, it dies in the water, and that's I think it was Icewind Dale 2 didn't get a port because they lost the
Mm,
source code, and they said that it would make them have to do so much work that they wouldn't have recouped the cost. It just wasn't worth it basically for
that
how much
makes total
effort they'd have
sense.
to put in. But for the majority of these, like yeah, you could of course you can easily port like Resident Evil 2, and it just baffles me because it's such an easy thing. Like people mod for free. There's so many like tech whiz people out there that crack games and what was it, the unreleased Resident Evil game that people have been working on for all these years?
Yes,
The two
2 point,
spin-off?
yeah,
Yeah.
2.5 or whatever. Yeah.
They had a tiny amount of data and they have been moving mountains to basically make that a game. And it's just like there's clearly a market for it.
Yeah.
That these
Yeah.
people want stuff like that.
And I mean, it's like you said, if you still have the source code intact, everything's all good with that. I can't imagine the port job of that is too difficult. And you just slap a $40 price tag on it.
Yeah.
Uh, like like I said, we always talk about the whales out there in the live service market. We talk about the whales out there in the mobile market. I'm just speaking for myself here. I'm a damn whale in this single player realm. Like you throw a $40 price tag on Resident Evil 2, the port of that, so I can have it accessible on the modern console. Like I'm there. I'm there for that. I'm there for a bunch of PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3 games. It's just I don't see how that, like, I'm more down for that than I am down for unnecessary remakes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I'd be inclined to agree. Um, it obviously does come with its technical issues, and this is like fresh in my mind because did you ever play the Lord of the Rings turn-based RPG called Third Age?
No, I played the other one, the two player.
No
I
one played this game apart from me and a friend. I'm the only person in the world that knows it exists.
I
But
might have it. Was it good?
I thought it was like the greatest thing ever. Like it was basically Final Fantasy Lord of the Rings. It was amazing. Um, but they, oh, is it?
I hold on.
Oh,
I'm not sure if I have it or not. I have Return of the King and I
yep.
have Fellowship of the Ring. It's not those.
No, no, it's the Third Age, I believe, is what it was called.
Okay, yeah, I don't have that. But what happened with it? What was wrong with it?
Um, I don't think there was anything like the original Xbox port was like fine, but in the early days of backwards compatibility, it got greenlit to become a 360 game that you could put in. So like you could use the original Xbox disc, put it in your 360, it'll play it. Didn't have achievements, of course, but it had one of the I know nothing about game development. I won't lie and sit there and say that I do.
I don't
They
either.
had an effect in the original game where like because it was so murky, like the colors, you'd have chests that would contain loot and they'd have a little glimmer to them. If you get the chance, like after the video, like I'll try and send you a link of the video
Okay, yeah, I'll check
of
it out.
what the backwards compatible game of it looked like. If you looked in the direction of that chest, it would flash the entire screen like a flashbang and then go away. It was something that they couldn't, I don't know what went on with that effect, but it would ice white the entire screen and then disappear, ice white. And it would do that every like 3 seconds.
Wow.
And they felt, and this is the thing that I'm getting to, like if they greenlit that and was like, yeah, you can play that. Like I won't lie, I sat there and played with that effect because I love the game so much. So yeah, they absolutely should be porting these games if they're happy to put that out as a product.
Yeah.
Which, if that released now as like a digital game, like you think Cyberpunk was bad, like that would get flamed.
Oh, people would torch that thing.
I
But
don't think that that's going to be a common thing that they'd run into. Like, just put it out there, man.
yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Is you're saying that it's like that was a case of just having the game available updated for modern console. It wasn't like they really went in and reworked any issues, correct?
No, I didn't get like any patches or anything. It was just
Right.
whatever state that that game was in. That was it.
That, yeah, okay, yeah, yeah. That makes, because I would think that obviously you're going to run and check on it, make sure it is when you're about to put Resident Evil 2 or what Parasite, whatever, whenever you're
Mm.
about to have that on your Series X and running it on your PS5 and your Switches or whatever. I'm sure you're going to at least run through a nice QA period to make sure that there's no significant issues with it that would cause something like that to happen. So it's going to cost, like, it's not going to be a totally like you said, we're not developers, but I can't imagine that that's going to be, I can't imagine that that would be anything but almost free money for you.
It's going to be nowhere near the ballpark that it is for this Last of Us remake that they're pumping into. Like,
Not even in this, not even in the
I don't even think it'll cover their
stratosphere.
lunch costs in comparison.
Exactly, dude. Freaking exactly. So, are we on the same board here? We're team, we're team port things from the past and get the original Xbox, PS1, even going back, and then if you have your source code for some SNES games, are we team port things up?
I am a person where, like I said, gaming is art. If I could have the option between the two, give me a remaster more so than a remake. I want, even if it is aged and dated, want to see it in its original state. Just let me play it on a modern system. I want to see what was going on during it, because then you see how things evolve over time, how gaming has come from this to this to this, instead of reimagining it and being like, yeah, well, this, because there's going to be people 50 years from now that are gaming newbies that are going to pick up Resident Evil 2's remake, and it doesn't say remake on the box, it just says Resident Evil 2, and they're going to be like, oh, that's revolutionary for its time. It's like,
Damn, that is, yeah. You
so that's my
are.
personal take on
I
that.
I I think, yeah, I think I agree with that, man. It would be nice to at least have both, to where you can go and on a store shelf you have Resident Evil 2 from 98 sitting right next to Resident Evil 2 the remake, and it's like you can at least see the art that got us to the modern art, see the art that inspired the modern art. And the I you make a real compelling point about the remaster, you preferring that
Mm.
over a remake to keep the modern art what it is, and then just move on to to new things. But I guess I would say something like a Resident Evil, something like a Final Fantasy, a Parasite Eve. The like there are certain games where I understand going
No,
full.
yeah, because it makes sense that they will sell. Like we said, like if you were to just give it a port, they wouldn't have reached the sales figures. But we would have bought it. I would have
Yeah.
bought Resident Evil 2 and tried it out, but yeah, it
Well,
wouldn't have hit that ceiling.
I think even for my personal preference, as much as I love the original Resident Evil 2, as much as I loved Parasite Eve, and you can go on and on, but I think that there is a ceiling where it's like, is this tolerable for modern audiences to like? And I maybe Parasite Eve not as much, but with Resident Evil 2, like you said earlier, that's not going to be embraced with open arms by people for with today's standards if you just remastered that. But I do think that I like that's a game where I feel like a remake was necessary. So my question, I guess, is that do you think that would you rather that development time, the resources, the cost just be offloaded onto a brand new project opposed to remaking things? Are you like kind of are you anti remake across the board?
No. So, like I said, I enjoyed the Resident Evil 2 remake. Um, and that's what I mean. From my point of view, I would prefer a remaster to keep it in its original state, but I understand why they've done it. And I do encourage it. I would rather a remake than nothing at the end of the day. Give these people the opportunity to at least experience that story, and important to have that, because you have some people that picked up like Resident Evil 5 as their first Resident Evil. They don't know what's gone on up to that, like the important story plots and the world building and stuff like that. Give them the chance to catch up on it, and don't punish them for being born later than their release. Like it's not their fault. And a lot of people don't have the patience to sit down and play like a Resident Evil 2 in its original state, like to learn the tank controls. They're not common anymore. So I can understand that.
Yeah. I guess that is my thing to modernize some of those. I do understand some things have to be remade if it's going to be reintroduced to a modern audience, but I also like let me go buy a damn Vertigo. You know what I mean? Let me buy a friggin' movie from the 50s. Let me do the same thing with video games. Let me go buy a game from the 90s. Just have it available for
It
people
would just be
to
so
access it.
amazing to have that remake, say, in a box, and even just as a digital code for the original
That
as a
is
port.
it. Dude, you just nailed it. That's the solution. Have if you're gonna remake Final Fantasy VII, have a code in the box for the
Mm.
original Final Fantasy VII. Like that would be perfect, perfect for me. Or even have it as a deluxe edition where you pay $20 extra to have the digital code there with it. I
Yeah.
think that, yeah, I'd rather have it in a physical box, but it is what it is. We're giving too much damn leniency to these corporations.
Yeah.
Let's hop on to let's hop on to optimal game length before I get kicked out of the damn gaming community, before my channel gets burnt to the ground by the protesters out there. You're giving these you're giving these publishers too much money.
Stop giving them ideas on how to shaft us. It's like we can't help it. We just want good games.
I'm telling you, man. So we were talking about game length. We were talking about Callisto Protocol, with Callisto Protocol being 10 to 12 hours. That was the report, that it was going to be about 10 to 12 hours. And
Okay.
I want to know, what do you think is your kind of, first off, let me ask you, what do you, how to word this? Do you think that there's a certain price that, if the game isn't, if you're paying full price for a game, do you need the game to be a certain length?
Nope, absolutely not. And that's the thing that I mentioned with like the Resident Evil 3 remake. I bought that at launch. I didn't feel regretful for my purchase. I enjoy it's enjoyment. You play games to have fun. Did I have fun? Did I play through it, enjoy it, and finish it? Yes. That's all that matters. It took me, I think, 4 hours to beat, 4.5 hours. And some people, I can understand on their point, like you get like one game like every like 4 5 months, some people, and then you be like, oh, I'm so looking forward to this, and then you finish it in a night, and you're like, oh shit, I'm back to square one. So I
Yeah.
can get that, but for me personally, being in the fortunate spot that I am to be able to buy as many games, so I'm able to fill that range very easily. It doesn't bother me at all,
Yeah.
as long as it is fun. That's all that matters.
And I think that kind of goes back to the point again, where me and you, we might be the wrong people for a lot of these conversations, because we are kind of like, we're the more I think about it,
We're letting them get away with so much. We're the problem.
we are kind of whales, man. We dive into a lot of stuff. We spend a lot of money on this hobby. We love the hobby, and but
Mm,
you hit on a good thing, because like when I was growing up, it was a similar thing. We had Blockbuster, which was a lifesaver, but where we could go and rent, games, movies, and all that. But there is for sure a crowd out there, and I would maybe be willing to bet the majority. I think we might be in the minority here, where we're talking, me and you, 5 hours it took me to get through Resident Evil 2. You can, I played through the A, B side, all that,
yep.
Leon, Claire, but
Yep.
5 hours for each one. It starts to get shorter as you understand what to do. But if that game was just 5 hours, it was just that main campaign, I'm not going to be too bent out of shape. If you just played as Leon, it was just that one run through of 5 hours. I paid $60 for it. I just, $10 an hour or so. Like, I'm not going to complain too much about that, because I feel like that 5 hours of time, is it worth $60? To me, probably. And
Yep.
but I do think there's a large segment of people out there where they're like, if I'm paying 60, 70, if I'm paying whatever, if I'm paying full price for a game, you got to get me at least 10 hours. And I think that that's kind of a reasonable take.
Yeah. No, I like I said, I do empathize with them. Um, you want to feel that your money was well spent, especially in this economy right now,
Yes.
especially. So like it's very, you know, relevant as a question. But,
Yeah.
you want to stretch that as far as you can get it. And it's why like RPGs have been on the rise these past, that's why Ubisoft, look at Valhalla. As much as people hate it, people slating it online, they just came out and were like, yeah, we just got 20 million players altogether. Like they're laughing. They got the
God.
last laugh.
Yeah. Yeah, it just hyper bloated. Just, ugh. I mean, I no, no, I like Odyssey a lot, and Odyssey's super bloated as well. So it really is one of those things where, do you want chocolate ice cream? Do you want vanilla ice cream? It's going to come down to that type of thing with a Ubisoft style game. Some of them are going to click, some of them aren't. But man, that Valhalla was bloated. But
Yeah, no, that's strange. I really enjoyed Odyssey as well. And I was really hoping that it would be the same with Valhalla. And I just don't I love Vikings.
I
It's
do too.
England. Like I want to explore. Like ye old England, and
Yeah.
it just didn't feel like it just didn't hit right. Like I liked Alexios, his charisma, I guess, helped carry the story,
Yeah.
and I don't know. I like the powers in Odyssey as well, and the powers in Valhalla just seem to fall flat as well. It's unfortunate, man.
I agree. It's a weird thing because structurally they are very similar games, but
Yeah,
it was drastically different. My experience was drastically different with Valhalla, but I guess that's a good segue into I was thinking you brought up RPGs and even honestly now Assassin's Creed kind of falls into an action RPG category
yep,
where I think that there's like a pressure on RPGs, on open world games, on these big, expansive universes to deliver these 50 100 hour, because I look at something like Gotham Knights, which I know we're both playing. I just finished it, and I think that that game could have cut 30% of the content and it would have been all the better for it.
yep. I 100% agree. I didn't agree with like some of the stuff that they were flaming it for, but yeah, there's a lot of hollow content there. But the same point I think I made in the comment of one of the videos is that like I'm not shocked at that. They came out and said from the get go it's co-op like oriented. And the moment a company says that, for me, it's just like, okay, there's going to be tedious crap in this game, and that's just something you're going to have to suffer with because it makes me go back to think of people who were screaming that they wanted co-op Skyrim, for instance, and you're not going to have the same experience. Like you think you will not. It doesn't translate to a single player game,
You're
and it's what they were hoping the Elder Scrolls Online would be, is a co-op, and it just isn't. You can't do that. It just wouldn't work.
you're dude, you're so right. Because when I was playing Gotham Knights, I'm looking at Red Hood, I'm looking at Batgirl, I'm looking at Nightwing, I'm looking at Robin, and I'm playing individual missions as these characters. And I'm like, oh man, this is cool. It'd be interesting to explore a little bit more about you. Well, you can't because
Yep.
there's three others. Like, of course, dude. When something's built around having three different characters that you have to flesh out in some meaningful way, then none of them really get fleshed out in any meaningful way because
Nope.
there's too much. Like there's not enough game. There's enough game with a bunch of bloated, meaningless side stuff to go and do, but there's not enough game there. There's not enough story. There's not enough time to get invested in one character because you got to worry about the three others. And it 100%, like you said, that was my main thing as soon as it got announced. It's like, oh, okay, great. There's no way that they're going to be able to tell a compelling story with having to always account for someone hopping in and hopping out of your
Yep.
game. It's just, and there's nothing wrong with that per se, but you have to make the choice. Are you going to be like a narrative structure? Are you going to have an Arkham Asylum, Arkham City style structure? Or are you going to be Avengers? And this is Gotham Knights just feels like it's teeter tottering. I don't know what I'm going to
Yeah,
be.
they they needed to go one way or the other, and they tried to play it safe. And this is what happens when you try and appeal to everything. The product suffers.
Yeah, and also I think this is what happens when you're in the single player mode. I think this is what happens when you gotta have some focus. And if this game would have been 8 hours, but all like the I loved going into the actual linear missions. I loved being in those linear missions, exploring the different settings and having those moments to interact with the villains, having those moments to interact with Harley Quinn and Clayface. Like I like that stuff. I thought a lot of those story beats were interesting, but they're gone in 30 seconds. And
Yeah.
they have to be, like you said, because you're always having to account for co-op. You're
Yeah,
always
the
having
drop-in co-op, you can't have long-winded missions because drop-in and out co-op is the main
exactly.
agenda. So you need to have tiny little crumbs instead of, the whole thing.
and you know, it's like Arkham Asylum was full price at launch. That's a 10-hour game. You know, it there's nothing you can, and I think that there's a compelling way to do an open world RPG style, you know, even bat family story, but you have to make the decision either single player or co-op. But with something like this, I do think that I worry about developers out there who they go into development and they're looking at, okay, well, we're going to charge $70. How can we make sure that the player's at least here for 30 hours? To me, it's like, don't don't make sure I'm there for 30 hours. Make sure I'm there for as long as I need to be there.
No, yeah, that shouldn't be the thing that you think about. It should be craft the story that you want to tell. However long it takes to tell that story, you know, it is what it is. The Witcher 3, it kept me hostage for all of them hours because they put work and effort into not only the main stories, them side quests were interesting.
Yeah.
Uh, really cool villains that you come across and the monsters, and you're not just killing them, you interact with them, you hear their side sometimes, and you know,
Yeah. Running
hundreds of hours into that game. I didn't think it was wasted at all. I loved it.
absolutely running up on a rogue witcher out there doing some wild shit. Like, what you got going? Why are you killing me? Like, it was a world that it was just so full of wonder. You're just like, oh man, there's something cool going on here. There's something cool going on there. It never felt like bloated for the sake of bloated for me. It felt like there's always something meaningful to dive into. Whereas with, and I don't mean to keep on harping on Gotham Knights, but it's like, oh, you know, go collect this much of this weird. I don't even know what you call the things that you're using to upgrade, but go collect these things.
Yeah, I have no idea. We've had a bunch of them from because I bought the physical edition that come with like an extra DLC code, and it just launched me in with like end game materials, and it's just like that I don't understand as well. Like the whole point of this game is like the grind to get that better gear, and you've just given these players as well like a shortcut,
Yeah.
and that's just not okay either. Like because Assassin's Creed falls foul to that as well with the boosters and stuff. I don't know if you've ever seen it.
I
It
I have a physical copy of Gotham, and I didn't even check the thing to see if there was a code for anything. So I should have. I wouldn't have been, probably wouldn't have been as damn frustrating.
I don't know. I think it would have been just as frustrating. I haven't picked it up since. The thing that killed me like heavily with it as well is the traversal. Why are you
Oh,
locking the cool traversal in a skill tree and stuff like that away from the player?
oh yeah, yeah.
And the vehicle's so slow. I don't care about the 30 FPS crap. Like why the vehicles you would turn the camera and it would stop with the like the whoosh effect and you would see just how slow you're going.
Dude, you are spot on. I really we talked a little bit about 30 FPS, 60 FPS, all that, but the when you're traversing through that world, there's never a more apparent time like that I've ever been playing a game where it's like, yep, I am definitely running at lower than 30. It is so staggering when you're just seeing the game stutter and barely able to keep up with it's rough. I played through pretty much everything with Red Hood, and I unlocked his whatever knighthood ability, whatever the hell you call it, where he's just hopping around through the world. And I'm like, every single hop, it's like this thing drops 5 frames.
I didn't even make it that far. That was going to be like the saving factor. Well, that's good to know.
Oh, dude,
Uh,
it's really rough around the edges, and it sucks because every time I'm interacting with like good story details with Harley Quinn, with Clayface, like I thought the Clayface stuff was so cool. Whenever you get to that section, his whole motive is
hmm.
really unique, but it I think that there's a decent story somewhere in there if it was just a Red Hood story, or if it was just a Harley Quinn story. And in back to length, that's the thing, man. That's the thing. This should have been a 7 hour Red Hood game, a 7 hour Batgirl game, a 7 hour Robin game. I would have been a-okay with that.
I think the way they could have handled it very well would have been, mm, I don't know, it'd be hard to execute, I guess. My thought process there for a second was give somebody like, it felt like Batgirl was like the important one when they were bringing up story beats, like she was meant to be the main character. and a lot she was controlling the group, the leader. Maybe
Yeah.
have her centered as the main character, and then each of these other characters could have been slottable DLCs in
Right,
as an
right.
extra character as post-launch content and have them focus, and then it could have allowed them to craft that Batgirl story of her taking the mantle, and
Yeah.
then you can mentor Robin as well and go side to side, and then Jason Todd, and yeah, I
Cuz
think that would have been the better
yeah,
way.
I agree with you because like if you like the Arkham games, you had other playable characters. Like you could play as a
Yeah.
Catwoman and stuff, and like there was
Mm.
little sections where like that's totally fine, but you have to have like a main centralized protagonist to get behind and build a story behind because yeah, we can keep on going on and on about Gotham Knights, and when I dive into it more, there are some good things I have to say about the game. I don't think it's totally without any sort of positives. There's some positives about the game that I actually did kind of enjoy, like we alluded to a little bit. I did not mind the actual story. I just wish there was more of that and less go around and interrogate 10 people and break up 10 crime. Like don't do this Ubisoft thing to me, man. Do not do this Ubisoft thing to me. No offense to Ubisoft, but Ubisoft knows what they do.
Yeah, the night system was strange to me. I remember like they break it down. You go out for the night and try and break up pre-med, and then you come back to the HQ, and then it's like these are all the monotonous things that you accomplished. And it was just like, I don't. Why?
Yeah.
Why did I do any of this? This didn't, other than the story missions.
Well, while we're here, you know what? We might as well just go off on this. Dude, I cannot believe you can't counter.
I didn't even think about that.
I mean, I was
I
just sitting.
thought it was an unlockable down the line. I won't lie. I thought that was something else they held us to.
Well, let me kind of be fair here. There could be with like either Robin or Nightwing or Batgirl because no, I know there's not with Batgirl because I went deep into her upgrades and stuff. So Batgirl and Red Hood, I'll say this, I'm 1,000,000% positive you can't counter with Red Hood. I'm about 99.9% positive you can't counter with Batgirl. And
That is astonishing.
I would be led to believe if you can't counter with Batgirl that you can't counter with any of them.
Hmm.
It's just that circle to evade thing. Like the whole flow of Arkham is broke whenever you can't do those counters. Like that's the whole flow of what made those first three games so, at least to me, so satisfying.
This wasn't made by Rocksteady, was it? This
No, it
was
was
made by another team.
yeah, WB Montreal, but they made the Arkham Origins game, which is exactly like a direct
Oh, okay.
replica. Yeah, they
I wasn't. I was gonna say, yeah. Uh, yeah, it's inexcusable. Do you think maybe it was because it was a co-op game? It would be difficult to get that all synced up.
I wouldn't think with the counter system, I wouldn't think that should be as big of a deal. But I will say we talked about this as well. It's inexcusable that there's not a 60 frames per second mode for single player content. This is a triple. This isn't freaking a Sobo working on Plague Tale Requiem with a budget of let's just say 25-30 mil. This is a team with a budget $200 million with
Yeah,
Warner Brothers backing them. Like I'll give Asobo all the credit for what they did visually, for what they did aesthetically, for the story that they told, the rats, all that crazy shit. Okay, you can't do 60. It is what it is, man. I didn't need 60 for Plague Tale Requiem. You're telling me $200+ million budget, WB funding, a AAA staff of hundreds of people, you can't give me a single player mode with 60 frames locked. That's crazy to me.
yeah. That's yeah. They don't really have an excuse, especially after dropping the previous gen as a
Yeah.
support. I'd understand if he was like, okay, we've had to cripple ourselves to have that run across both, and it'd be like, okay, but you could like add a performance mode to the other like other games have. and then you turn around
Exactly.
and say you're dropping it. Is that yeah? It's something that needs to be patched in the future. It's There's no excuse for it.
Yeah, and I know neither you or I are really like super frame rate snobby, but it's like for a game like this, it's just really strange because yeah, you can just feel those 30 frames. You can feel it when you're traversing, and it's like that would be just one nice thing to that'd be one nice little addition to have patched in, to at least be able to traverse at 60 frames, man. That would improve the hell out of the game because you're traversing so much, running around doing meaningless freaking side content. But anyways, let's go. We're gonna dive in real quick. Last topic. We'll cut off the movies and TV shows that need game adaptations. You cool with that?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
All right. We'll dive in. This is I'm more curious about this than I think anything else that we've talked about. When you brought this up, I was very interested to hear your take. Should we get a trailer if we won't get the game for? So let me lay this out better. That was a horrible lead up to an expectation. Okay, so say something like Fable. I feel like Fable's probably the best example I can think of off the top of my head. The first trailer was 2020, I believe.
I wouldn't know.
I think it was 2020, and we haven't seen anything from it since. Leads you to kind of believe the game won't drop until 2024, 2025 ish. So you pose the question: should we get a trailer if we won't see the game release for at least a year after the first trailer? Is that kind of how you led the question?
Yeah, my mindset was like looking back on it as much as I like shit on Bethesda a lot for the stuff that they do, they had a really good track record of they drop the trailer and it's like no longer than a year later that you're playing the game. And that's commendable. Like that's how it should be. I think that's standard for that. Because otherwise you get into this inescapable vortex of stuff like Skull and Bones where Jesus Christ, that's been around since Black Flag. How many
Yes.
Assassin's Creed games have they made since then? And
We're
you're telling me you cannot make this game work? Like, I played an early build of it. It's awful. It's so unbelievably awful. And they asked me for my opinions on it, and I told them it was awful. I was like, I'm sorry, I get like this is somebody's work and stuff, and the people have worked on this and this is their job, but like it just doesn't make sense to me. On like, not only like is it a bad game, you've spent so much time on it. It's so sad.
yeah. Yeah, and it's you said something there that I'm always sympathetic for that as well, and I always think about that as well, where it's like, somebody is working on this, and it sucks to just shit on it, but it's like I've done things at work where I'm like, yeah, I just fucked up. Like that wasn't a good move on my part. That was a boneheaded move on my part. Or even something like videos, as trivial as it is, it's like, yeah, I've made some videos that suck, and I know that they're in there developing games for 3-4 years, and then to step out of that bubble and then to have people go, yeah, that blows. That I could see that really hurting. But at the end of the day, like I would imagine that people working on Skull and Bones have to be aware right now that this thing is not going to.
They're not stupid. No. And
Yeah.
you've seen this recently. Huge waves of high profile people leaving their studios. And I think it's because they're being pressured into making things like they came into this because they enjoy it. They love what they do. And it was, for instance, like Blizzard. That's the reason the company was created. Its origin story was because it didn't get credit for stuff and they wanted to be passionate and make games they loved. And now look at them. They're in turmoil because they've just, it's a corporation now. And the people that work there are being forced to do things that they don't want to make. It's just for a profit. And they leave, make their own studios. And this is why we have this huge wave of amazing indie games and double A games.
Yeah. Did you see? I mean, this could be a coincidence. Whatever, it doesn't matter. But did you see that I believe the two founders of Rockstar of Rocksteady left.
Yeah, I saw that the other day, or whenever it was. I think it might have been yesterday. I saw it.
Suicide Squad releases next year, you know, and I don't know, man. Like, I'm not saying, I'm not saying not everything has to be some conspiracy. They could just be wanting to go to something new, but I don't know, man. I'm
No, it doesn't. If they were passionate about the project, and this isn't like to shit on them, you would usually see it shipped. You're there
yes,
to see it. It's your project. It's something you've put time into. You want to be there when it launches. So you're proud to present that product. They're moving away from it because they're probably not happy with what it is. It's not what they would have wanted as a vision, and they're just like, you know what? I don't want my name tarnished with this. I'm leaving now before this crap ships
yep.
because you see all these other studios that have stuck there, and their reputation takes a huge hit.
Yeah, yeah. Before this thing ships, we're gonna be over here. We're gonna start up this new thing, and let's get your mind off the fact that
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. But regardless, all of that talking about, I don't. We're spinning off in every damn different direction.
I'm sure it'll make for interesting topics of discussion in the comments.
Dude, yeah,
Tell us how wrong we are.
I that's the thing of doing YouTube for a little bit, man. As great as it is, as much as I love just talking video games and all that, the every now and then the little drop in the comments of somebody shitting on you when it first happens, you're like, oh man, that's heartbreaking. When it happens for the 500th time, you're like, most people are as kind and as chill as humanly possible, and you have cool ass interactions like this, but you'll have the one occasionally that's just like, it everybody's gonna have an opinion. And then I'm always of the mind that, like, I never think I'm right about anything, so anytime somebody has a opinion that's different from mine, I welcome it. It's just like, how do you bring that opinion to somebody? There's different ways of saying you're wrong. Like, you can
Yep.
scream you're
No,
wrong, or you can say, hey, no, I don't think you're right about this. And it's like, I'm always down to have a conversation where you go, yeah, I don't think you're right.
no, that's an excellent outlook on it. Very mature outlook.
So, man, let's dive back into this trailer topic here. I think you're right that the way Bethesda rolled it out for the longest there was with like Fallout 3, Fallout 4, that quick turnaround, almost 6 months it felt like for the first Fallout, or for Fallout 4.
For Fallout 4, yeah, it was 6 months. It was like released in the trailer was released early in the year, and then we were playing it in like November.
Okay. So, wow. Yeah, the times have freaking changed. And do you think that a lot of it is due to the fact that development cycles are taken, back in the day it was like 2-3 years for even huge big AAA open world games, and then now it's like 5-6 years, even 7-8 years at times?
So, like I said, like I don't know like extensive knowledge on game development, so I can't sit there and say. But I have seen like there's so many dev kits out there that like, did you play? I think it was called Bright Memory.
I saw it's on Game Pass, right?
Yeah,
I haven't played
that's.
it.
Have you seen anything on it, like any trailers or gameplay?
I don't think so. I can pull it up real quick. Well, you tell me about it and I'll pull it up.
So it was made by like a single person who had very minimal knowledge on how to make a game. It was made through like dev kits, like drag and drop and stuff like that. I can't remember what company it is that's developed it, but you can literally do it now. You just pay for like a dev thing. You can start making games look that good with like hardly any knowledge on how to make it.
Wow.
And it got more funding over time now because it had a like a very small release. I think it was called Bright Memory something, and then it's had another re-release for like the full game.
Yeah, I'm
But
looking
like,
at it now. It's this is
does that look like it
stunning.
was made by one person?
Absolutely not. That is crazy. Action packed, first person
Yeah.
perspective, like crazy abilities and stuff going on. I'll make sure to clip some gameplay in here so the people watching can see what we're talking about. But so this is made by one person.
Yeah, but like this is the thing that I wanted to like link it to is that like he hasn't made that hand like he's not made it by hand himself. These are programs that you're able to like use. It just has presets basically, and he's forging the game in his vision with them, and it still looks amazing. And a lot
Right.
of people are starting to use these techniques. So like the turnaround on get like not everyone's rock star, man. Like they don't sit there and meticulously every hair on a cheek and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So like Rockstar, I can understand them taking their sweet ass time with like GTA 6. But like for the majority of these developers, like you see like for instance like Gotham Knights, it doesn't even look as good as like Arkham Knight when that came out. And it's
No
like a visual
chance.
presentation and it's technical and it's just like what the hell have you been doing? It just
Yeah.
lacks passion. You can feel it.
Yeah. I'm so this is stunning. So it says here Bright Memory Infinite, the first person shooter from the one man development team at FYQD Studio, and it will be released November 11th, coming soon to Xbox Series X and S. So, yeah, I didn't even know about that. So, I mean, obviously, you see the indie scene starting to really blow up, and a lot of high quality games are coming out of smaller studios, but something that level made by one person just using already created assets and stuff, that is that's definitely something to weigh in to all this. So when you brought this question up,
Mhm.
do you think like the 6 month turnaround from first trailer to release is perfect? Because something for me, like I like a little bit of simmering. I know that's weird, but I kind of like, you reveal, let's say you reveal the game on just today, October 28th, and
Yep.
then we get like the second trailer April 28th, like a gameplay trailer, the second trailer,
Mhm.
and then the launch trailer like 6 months after that. So you have whatever a year and a half or so. I think that's a okay sort of like
Yeah.
rollout.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Because what I wrote down here is obviously as nice as that 6 month is, you know that it's close, and if they guarantee the release, that's amazing. But if every game did that, it would lose a little bit of its charm
Yeah.
because how packed some of these release schedules are. Of course, you'd want to stagger it a bit. Um, a year and a half feels like the perfect spot.
Yeah.
Anything longer than that, and you lose. They put so much money into marketing, and you just lose that steam because no one cares anymore. Like, who is sitting there and being like, "Man, I'm so pumped for Skull and Bones!" Like, whoop whoop! Like, it's run its course,
You know,
and I just don't see it. It's going to be a success because it has no steam. Like, no one. Some people don't even know it's coming out. I've talked to people and they were like, "I thought that was cancelled."
the
They've
only
heard nothing on it.
the only thing I would slightly push back on is that I look at something like Fable and Avowed, and I almost think the fact that I haven't seen anything in so long, I'm like
You had
dying.
to bring you had to bring Avowed up. No.
Dude, I mean, right? I know this isn't the conversation, but right now, if you said, "All right, look, Brandon, any game in development right now, you can go to the studio, sit down with the developers, and watch the build of what they have." Avowed is my game right now. Over Grand Theft Auto 6, over anything. Avowed is my game right now. I am dying to see more of that.
I am too. I'm also very, very scared because being such a huge Pillars of Eternity fan, and yes, it's set in the same universe. Look, man, there were things that you needed to wrap up in a third game, and it had a horrible launch. And I think I've said in a comment as well recently, it only just recently turned a profit.
Oh wow.
That game has been out for ages, and it just didn't make anywhere near a big of a splash, and it's why they've pivoted for this. But yeah, I just want it to be good.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
needs to be good because otherwise that's another series that's just dead in the water.
Has to be good, dude. And I think it will be. I trust Obsidian. I definitely trust Obsidian, but the the it does so it kind of sucks that we haven't seen anything on it for so long, and that I'm like yearning to see more. But I do think, like you said earlier, it comes down to how it releases, because if we end up seeing a trailer like at the Game Awards, let's just say, and then it releases 6 months later and it comes out buggy, broken, yada yada yada, then you're going to look back, especially something like Fable. Let's just say that happens with Fable. That's a better example for this point.
Yep.
You're going to look back and go, what wait, what? We saw the first trailer in 2020. Now the game launches early 2023, let's just say, which it probably won't, but let's just say it launches early 2023. What happened? What or actually, let's say with Fable, that let's, to make the argument better, let's say it hits like 2024, 2025.
Yep.
You're like, what happened in between your first reveal in 2020, and we don't see anything again until the Game Awards in 2022, and then let's say it releases in 2024, 2025. You're like, why were we sitting there waiting all this time, and we still
Mm.
ended up getting a buggy product? So I do think, like you said, it all does end up depending on how the thing launches.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, and how it is managed throughout development. You saw the reason Cyberpunk crashed and burned is because they did the same thing Mass Effect Andromeda did. They had ideas, they went out to realize them ideas, and then they crashed and burned and had to scrap what must have been a very deep and a lot of time had been put into it, and you have to start again.
Yeah.
And that's a big blow because you've given a trailer that looks like the product is very deep and almost done, and then you're like, nope, it needs to be delayed, 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 delayed because you're starting from fresh. And that's the thing, that was the reason I brought that up as a point. This topic is because it hurts games like that. Cyberpunk wouldn't have got anywhere near the amount of backlash if they just didn't do that first trailer.
That's a good point. That's a really, really good point, because when you saw the wall running and you saw
Yeah, like
all
that was a huge feature they cut. Like it looked great.
that was like, when I saw that, I started going, oh, this is like going to be one of the biggest, in terms of just diversity of gameplay experience, going
Mm,
to be one of the biggest games on console ever.
yeah.
And you slowly started to see, oh, this is cut, this is cut, this is cut, that's cut. And you're 100% right with those vertical slices. You can really be told, you can be painted a totally different picture than the thing you're finally going to get. And so you would your theory, I think 2 years is anything past 2 years, it gets weird, and you start wondering, is
Yeah.
this thing in development hell? Like, what's really going on here? Unless you have the consistent updates from developers. But anything over 2 years, it starts to get, it starts to get worrisome. But you would say your perfect time is about a year.
For a traditional release, yeah, like that. There is a way of like fixing it though. You look at Baldur's Gate 2 that's in development now with Larian Studios.
Early access.
Just early access it. If that's the route that you want to take, like it gives them an excuse to be like, well, it's a buggy product, but you have it in your hands, you can see
Yeah.
our vision, and it also allows the community to give feedback.
Yeah, you're right, man. Maybe I'm just an old ass friggin' I'm stuck in a 50-year old's brain, but I'm 27 years old. But like, I just kind of want the thing, like,
No, no, that's fully understandable. Yeah, but like I said, that would be like a solution to the problem.
yeah. And I think that's why I am a little bit more lenient with, like, I see the first trailer and sometimes I'm like, okay, that's a recruitment pitch. Then you see the next trailer, it's like, okay, that's a cinematic setting up the world shot. Then you see the next one, it's like, okay, that's usually the first gameplay trailer. And so I can kind of understand. Like we're talking about Avowed, and I believe Avowed was first revealed the same time that Fable was, but we're assuming that Avowed's probably a lot closer to launch than Fable. I would guess. I mean, we have no real idea, but there's something like Avowed where I'm just for whatever reason, I'm just a little bit more lenient with something like that. And it could be all depending upon how hyped you are for a game, how excited you are for a game. And that is unfair when you start saying, okay, well, this game got revealed in
Yeah.
2020 and we haven't seen it again since. But the other game that got revealed in 2020, we haven't seen it again. It's okay for that game to do it, but not the other one. So it does have to be some sort of consistency. And I think we're all probably guilty of being like, oh, well, I'm real hyped for that one, so I'm going to let it pass, you know?
Yeah, it's how much faith you have in the developer. How many things that they've given you in the past which hasn't let you down. So it's why I gave that Baldur's Gate as a representation. Larian's never let me down as a studio. Since ever I've played their games, it's been absolutely stellar. I trust them completely.
Yeah, that's such a good point, especially, and I hate to keep on bringing up the same thing here, but with Obsidian, it's like, I totally trust Obsidian. They've been cranking it out on such a consistent basis. And where I think the biggest of big question marks with Fable, where it's like, the Playground, a team that did nothing but racing games. Now they're transitioning to a third person, deep, layered role playing experience, or at least
Yeah, it was a very bizarre choice. Don't get me wrong, Horizon games, they were revolutionary. It's what kept the racing genre on Xbox other than the third parties. Like, as much as the Motorsports series is good, like, that really reignited arcade racing for a lot of people.
yeah,
And they're very good, but they they're not RPGs. And I don't think they've ever made RPGs. Like you said, they've only made racing. Like, that seems like a huge step.
yeah, and I think that that kind of comes back to the original point was that with something like Avowed, you're aware we just had the Outer Worlds in 2019. You're aware that they can crank out something similar here. They
Yeah.
worked on, they did Fallout New Vegas, and they have a history of developing deep role playing games, and now they're given a Microsoft budget to go and have a freaking field day with. So it's like, I can't imagine how cool this could possibly be. Whereas with Fable, it's nothing but a question mark in my brain. Like when I think about Avowed, when I close my eyes and I'm like, oh damn, there's that. We're doing some magic over here. We got some sword action going on over here. Some like some sort of cool traversal mechanic. Like I see all that in my head, and then I see Fable, and I just see a big question mark. I have no idea. So, to your point earlier, where you trust the developer's pedigree, and you kind of give them a little bit of leniency. You're like,
Yep.
I'm going to put my foot off the gas a little bit and let you coast into home plate there. But um, yeah, it's uh, you're probably right. You're probably right. We definitely do need to shorten that period between first trailer and launch of the game. I think 2 years is the longest you can do.
Yeah, otherwise you end up in the realm of Duke Nukem Forever, Beyond Good and Evil 2. Like, even if they release, like, are they really going to hit that hard now? It's been so long. Like, when you get stuck in that mindset, because if they've been in development from that point, they're going to have ideas, and they've left it so long, them ideas going to be outdated, like it was
Yeah,
with Duke Nukem Forever. Like, if that game come out in like the 90s, it would have been fine. The humor would have hit, the gunplay would have been revolutionary.
yeah,
Whatever year that came out, it was a complete flop. No one cared for it because the humor was cringy, the gunplay was nothing to write home about, and it
yeah.
killed him off.
Dude, I agree. I agree 100%. That's something that I hope that gets. I hope with next gen development, things start to get streamlined a little bit. We can start seeing games on a more regular basis because I don't feel like there's a sustainability with having 10-year development cycles if your game unless your game is selling Grand Theft Auto 5 numbers.
Yeah.
You know, it's
It doesn't make sense as a business because it is like it, as you said, the prices of production have gone up. You need to be putting these out. The reason GTA gets away with it is because they're going to make that back tenfold because everyone knows what GTA is. Everyone wants to play it. It's always that next huge jump as well. Whenever they make a new game, it's always that next step. They push the boundaries of everything.
and that honestly that's back to the point of like what we were hitting on earlier with the length of games where it's like if we could get, you know, two, three fables in a generation, but instead of all of them being 100 hours, they're all 25. Like, I think I'd take that, you know?
Mm, no, absolutely.
So, man, I appreciate you joining me today. This was an absolute blast, dude. Going through rambling about some topics. We jump around all over the place, different discussions. Gotham Knight review just in the middle of the
We needed
but
to warn people so they don't fall into our trap
I swear,
of
dude.
optimism.
I swear, and I'll make sure to have all this stuff timestamped. That way, people can, you know, watch whatever the hell they want. Which I don't know what I'm talking about. We ramble so damn much; it's going to be impossible to timestamp. I'll do my best, my people. I promise, I'll do my best. You listen to what you want to listen to. Hopefully, you're just driving to work using this as some background noise to make your drive a little bit less painful, make your workday a little bit less painful. That's kind of what I do with podcasts. I always have a podcast on. I don't know. Like I literally don't know what I would do without podcasts. It gets me through everything. I always have a podcast on.
That's really like a good point because you was talking about like how I achievement hunt. I always have to have something playing in the back. If I was sitting through Elix 2 and having to do that boring crap that I was doing, I wouldn't have been able to do it without the video. And also, I know I think some people have this as well. I can't sleep without listening to something.
Same way.
I have to have something playing. Usually zero punctuation. Have you seen any of his videos?
Yeah, yeah. They do like the quicker reviews and stuff.
Yeah, he does 5 minute reviews of his little stickman thing, and he has like 1 year long like review worth of videos. And I just have that play. Just his angry voice
Yeah.
complaining about the state of video games, and it's soothing.
I remember watching that a while ago. I haven't. I need to go check back. What are some of your? I know this is once again off topic. We'll end on this note. What are some of your like go to sort of gaming content recommendations out there? Is there any content people who make content that you really gravitate
Um,
towards?
so it all depends on what I'm looking for. So I have like I really enjoy lore videos and stuff. So if I'm playing, for instance, like when I was playing through Pathfinder, I can't remember his name. I'll have to like search it while I'm talking. But
You're fine.
it was nice to not know much about the world and have him breaking parts down, and then you're like, oh, that makes a little bit more sense. And they have some crazy names for gods and stuff, and it's so hard to keep track of. But yeah, that's like his name was Sir Vertigo, is what it was.
Okay. I'll have to check that out. Are you into any like is there any podcasts or anything you listen to, gaming podcasts?
Not podcasts, no, like retrospectives. That was
Okay.
like a good thing as well. So like Avalanche Reviews is a guy that I've like loved with his
Ye-
like Stalker retrospective, Metro, Resident Evil, stuff like
yes.
that.
I watched I loved one of his videos. He did a Resident Evil clones video.
Yeah.
I loved that. There were so many games that I didn't know anything about really, and I ended up picking up quite a few based off of not necessarily his recommendations. Some of his recommendations weren't the most glowing, but of the game. But just like I never heard of some of these games, so yeah, that was a real solid one.
Yeah. And my final shout out, which has to be Indie Mouse. I'm not sure if you've crossed his path
I don't
with
think
his
so.
videos.
I'll have to check it out.
Um, he's he the amount of effort he puts in. So like you have people who obviously do like let's plays and stuff. He does an entire game in one video, and breaks it down into like 50 minutes.
Oh
And it's like
wow.
um they're really well put together. So he's done a lot of the Silent Hill games and stuff.
Oh,
Yeah, they clock in at like 40 minutes. They're
great.
funny to listen to.
Yeah,
And
really good thumbnails.
yeah.
Yeah, that shit is super sick. I love that thumbnail work. That is great. I'm gonna have to check this out. There's a lot of stuff that I would. You talked about
Yeah. All of the
obscure.
Resident Evil games.
Yeah, I definitely need to check this out. I'm the thing like I don't I'm so not informed with the YouTube space of creators on YouTube. I just all I really know is the podcast realm. It's because when I'm like like I drive a lot for work. It's kind of really one of the main things I do for work is just driving from city to
Mm.
city to city. So it's just anything that I can just listen to passively. I I eat that stuff up. So I'm constantly through Easy Allies and Min Max and the Last Stand and all the different gaming podcasts. Like I'm just constantly consuming that to the point where sometimes I'll make a video and I'm like, oh shit. I picked up a damn word or I picked up a phrase or it's like, oh come on man, I don't even know these damn people and I'm stealing their lingo. but
No, that's great.
But yeah, man, dude, this was a blast, buddy. I appreciate you coming on. And do you, I know that you try to stay out of the public limelight. So I guessing you don't have anything you want to plug, promote, or anything like that.
Um, well, we, me and a friend have been like streaming recently. It's not good. I'm not even gonna try and like claim this.
Plug that
It's
bad boy
good.
away
Um, but yeah, like it's just Man Looney Jr.
on Twitch.
Yeah.
Okay.
Um, and then I pulled the videos to YouTube.
Oh, dude, send me a damn link. We'll put that bad boy right in the damn the whatever the hell
You
you
can
call it.
see all of my terrible misplays on things like Ring of Pain and stuff.
Ah, dude, absolutely, dude. Yeah, we'll for sure be plugging that. Yeah, you should have told me that. We would plug that from the beginning. I'll
But
do
no,
a
this is what I messaged it to you with. Like, this wasn't the intention. Like, it's not the type of the things that I reached out and did isn't for something in return.
no,
You
yeah,
know?
well, yeah, I asked you to come on. I asked you to come
Yeah.
on just because, honestly, for sure, the you sent in that ridiculous. I can't believe you sent that damn ridiculous gift card. I wanted to, God, I'm about to be on friggin' payments, layaway payments to Mad Looney for the rest of my life. That was ridiculous. Don't ever send me that much damn money again. But after you did that, that was one thing. But as soon as I saw the 300,000 gamer score, that was the thing that I was like, the insight that this mother effer
I
must
knew
have.
it'd pay off one day. They all laughed at me.
Get onto a channel with 100 subscribers and 45 viewers,
Yeah,
and
got my foot in the door finally.
dude, hey, I think that it, there's a lot of people out there who are really great speakers, who are really articulate, who went to journalism school and they got this and they got a that and they got a degree for every letter in their name. But when it comes to video game coverage, video game content, I want to listen to people who play games. Like that's the biggest thing for me. I listen to Frame Trap all the time, the Easy Allies podcast. It's one of my favorite podcasts on earth. And they just dive deep into these games. And it's like, I know that these people are really doing their due diligence. They're really playing their games. And it's like, when I know that Ben Moore, he recently left Easy Allies. And then it's it's crazy. You don't know these people at all, but it's been like, and then the show's still great, but
Yeah.
that was a voice that I really latched on to that voice, and I loved hearing the insight that he provided. And I still love the show and listen to it every week. But it's
Mhm.
like I need those people. I need the people that are really diving into it. So the Brads and the Hubers and all those people over there. Like I love hearing that insight because I know they're really diving into the games. And when you see someone with a 300,000 gamer score and I go through the games and see you're diving deep into everything, it's like I value those opinions so much more then like I know that you don't have a podcast, this or that, but if you did, I value that opinion so much more than someone that can spout off a bunch of big words and shit.
Yeah, because it comes from obviously your heart and your passion for the hobby, you know,
For
diving
sure.
in deep to all of these things. It's because I've always been, I don't let a review score dictate what I'm going to pick up. It's why I'd still picked up Gotham Knights,
Same.
Prove me wrong. Warner Brothers is what, like, prove me wrong. What's the worst that can happen? Like, if it's that awful, I can trade it back in at the end
And
of the day. If it's that offensive of a product, but
yeah,
no, I like to formulate my own opinions, and I think that's what everybody should do. Don't let like IGN dictate that you're gonna buy a game.
I
Otherwise,
I
you'd buy nothing.
I could not agree with you more, man. I could not agree with you more. Formulate your own opinions. And then,
Mm,
of course, you're out there, you've got limited cash. It's nothing wrong with doing some research and then diving into the things that you think are going to be good. Find a reviewer, find an outlet that fits you and fits kind of the style of stuff you like, and then latch onto that. And, but yeah, formulating your own opinions is everything. And I just appreciate you coming on, shedding some light on these topics with me, shooting the breeze with me, man. And I just
yeah,
appreciate all your support and open invitation, dude. I was thinking about that. I filmed a video today going over the games that I'm excited for in November, and I'm not gonna lie, like it's a video, but as we're talking earlier about developers looking at their game after they're done and being like, yeah, that's a game. That's for sure a game. And after I finished, I was like, dude, I'm just
then
sitting here.
whales will buy it. Them suckers.
Yeah, but I don't have that damn privilege, unfortunately. But I finished the video and I'm like, yeah, that's a video. But when I do these, man, when I'm talking with you, when I'm talking with Mondane, when I'm talking with my buddy Jeffrey, like, or retro rivals, like those, I'm like, I just love it. I love, 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 love doing this compared to when I'm sitting down recording by myself. Sometimes I can get real into it, but a lot of the times, like, it's just I don't know. I guess it's the it, this the solo thing, just talking to a camera. I just don't have that same passion for that I do for just bullshitting with people, just shooting the breeze.
Well,
So
it's being able to bounce off of each other's opinions. We didn't agree with everything, but
yeah,
we were still respectful of one another, and it was, it's seeing another person's perspective is important.
that is a way to end the video right there, because holy boy, we can absolutely deal with some seeing other people's perspectives and not beating people over the head with hatchets and ratchets and clanks and everything that stanks as soon as you find an opinion you don't like. So
Yep,
I
absolutely.
absolutely agree, man. Go out there, meet people meet new people, hear new perspectives, and I don't know. I don't have any advice for you. Don't listen. Don't listen to me. I don't have
Uh,
anything. I don't have anything great to
just
offer
go
you.
out there and have fun
Have
at
some
the end of the
fun.
day.
Play some games. Formulate your own opinions, and one day you can get a 300,000 gamer score as well. I appreciate you, Mad Looney. This is a blast, buddy.
Yeah, that's been amazing. Thanks, man.